Welcome back to Nationwide Arena. Aaron Portzline, Mike Arace, Tom Reed here. We've just witnessed a 1-0 Blue Jackets victory temporarily. They moved back into second place in the division and overall standings. This one, as a lot of these games recently, that nasty playoff type feel when there's not a lot of scoring and the goaltending and the defense has to be really good around the net.
Yeah, it was a really nasty game, really physical, and it looked, we were joking up here, look, what did you say? I said Vikings. You said
Highlander. It was medieval out there.
Medieval.
A lot of swordsmanship.
There was a lot of that stuff. And the area that was really contested was right in front of the Blue Jackets net. That's where some of the really nasty stuff happened. There's some great moments where you saw a wall of Blue Jackets between Bobrovsky and the Flyers. But Bob was really the story today. 36 saves, numbers here. 8-1-0 against the Flyers, his old team. His 40th win, 7th shutout of the season, 19th of his career with the Blue Jackets, which ties the franchise record. He was amazing today, and the difference all the way around.
And of course, the irony there is the Flyers have only been looking for like 40 years for Bernie Perront's replacement.
Yeah.
And they traded him away.
Still looking. I don't think it's Newberg, but he played very well tonight. You know, Steve Mason hasn't had an awful season, but yes, the Bobrovsky sticks in the craw of Philadelphia hockey fans. There's no question about that. And Cordy will have something along those lines in tomorrow's paper in the online services of the columnist.com.
Right. Now, you guys obviously were here. You saw him play when he won the Vezina, and you saw him get him 2 wins in the playoffs. Have you seen him play better in the stretch that he's in right now?
Yeah, I don't think so. He's had a lot of stretches where he's just looked incredible. I think what's different about this year's team is the player on the ice has been typically so good that it hasn't just been the Sergei Bobrovsky show like it was that year, 12-13, where they just weren't that good at times, but Bobrovsky kept bailing them out of it.
At the same time, he's also a more composed, more mature, more economical goaltender.
I think he trusts the play around him.
I think he's better now.
I mean, they're so much better defensively, both just the defensemen, but just the way that they play the puck. I think there's a lot more trust there between the two.
One of the guys who I think we all agree here, who's just having an incredible season, he's an all-star, and yet I still think he's under the radar, is Seth Jones. I know you had a chance to talk to him today. We heard John Tortorella just talk recently. He spoke briefly, was just saying how good Seth Jones has been in the last couple games. Even when they lost those games, they probably had a lot of passengers, and Seth Jones was not one of them.
More and more, and he likes playing in the shadow of Zach Werenski. He laughs at it just like we do. He's in the shadow of a teenager. He relishes that. They work well together. He stresses it's good for both of us. I think with Seth Jones, what we're seeing now, and I didn't expect it at this point last year the way he played, which was a transitional part of his career, but we're seeing a guy who can take over games as a defenseman. That is a very rare commodity. An extremely valuable commodity. I mean, when he wants the puck to get out of the zone, it's getting out of the zone.
I think the other thing that's interesting about him, and we've talked about this, I don't know here on air or not, but the idea that Seth Jones came from Nashville where he had veteran players around him.
Right.
I think he seems to relish the idea of now kind of being, even at his young age, kind of being the mentor for Zach Werenski, kind of the old young guy on that pairing.
The Shea Weber to Seth Jones a few years ago in Nashville. And he's even talked about it. He had a comfort level in Nashville where he could ease into games.
Right.
He was guilty of that here last year when they needed more from him. He couldn't do that anymore. I think that's the one thing that's really been cleaned up with him this year is he, right from the start, he is ready to be a difference-making #1 defenseman every night. And you saw it tonight in Washington for sure, Tom, you saw that?
Yeah.
I think he's a dominating player a lot of nights. Werenski gets a ton of points and has such a bright future, but boy, Seth Jones is a great story as well.
And one of these, this is for an argument a little farther down the line, but just the idea of eventually what do you do with these guys? Do you keep them together? Do you let them grow old together? Or at some point, you split them up and you say, okay, we've got now 45 minutes of the game covered with one of these two guys?
He said that. He said quite seriously, I hope we play together for a long time, me and Werenski. And then someone joked with him, like, no, you're going to get broken up. And he smiled and
someone
kind of nodded at that, too, because Porty's been saying this for a long time, is It's a Seabrook-Keith situation that eventually they're both so good in their own right that eventually you have to split them out and even out the pair.
Well, you're okay.
Is there a cough button here? Is there a cough button anywhere?
No, we're not that high tech. We're not that high tech.
Let me hit that other button. We done?
No, we're not quite done. We have more time than I thought we did. So, there was a goal actually scored in this game.
Planned this out really
right.
well.
Believe it or not, yeah. Again, Alexander Wenberg, I thought was very quiet the other night. He didn't really. I mean, they didn't have a lot of offense going there either. But boy, what a gorgeous deflection of the Kyle Quincy shot.
Well, and what a great play by Quincy to skate left to right and anticipate the clear and pick it off.
He did that because he knew early on because Wayne Simmons was in his face, and then eventually Simmons' stick was broken. So he was toying with Wayne Simmons without a stick on the left point and recognized that he had free reign of the blue line and eventually rotated right to make that shot. So very, very heady play by Quincy, and he served it up nicely for a great tip by Wenberg.
They needed it. That's all they had. They've not been great offensively now for a little while.
And their power play is not
brutal,
good right now.
Just brutal. And you wonder, like they went back to their old lines the other night. It's just not a lot of, Tortorella said too much east and west, not a lot of north and south. There's some of that. I think the power play was such a lift to them early. And it's been almost demoralizing now lately. It's taken a lot of the momentum away.
Yeah. Another guy I thought played really well today, and he's been playing really well lately, is Boone Jenner.
Yeah. This
seems to be, I know it's weird to say because they've only been in the playoffs one time. This does seem like a Boone Jenner type of this year, right? I mean, where the ice gets constricted, and he is that hard grinding type of player that you really don't want to play against.
He's enjoying it more too. You can tell. He's got his engine going. He's playing with more speed. He's hitting harder. He got in a fight today.
Yeah.
I mean, Radko Gudas kind of mugged him from behind. And he
tried to behead him.
Yeah, he did. He went all Highlander on him.
Again, second reference. Very nice.
If you remember how great Jenner was in 13-14 in the playoffs, it was kind of his coming out party across the league. Yeah. He was great against the Penguins. Yeah. And these are his kind of games. It's been a tough season. And you look at the early part of the season where he had 3 goals in his first 20 games or something. Yeah. Just really wasn't a factor offensively. And now he's at 16 goals. Mm-hmm. You know, again, I don't think anybody expected him to score 30 last year. Yeah. I think he's a 16 to 20, maybe 24, 25 guy. This is probably a pretty close to Boone Jenner's season.
But to typify what Tom is saying, the goal he scored last week, shorthanded, where he basically played the puck to himself on the wall with 2 guys on his back, and then got free, extended a shorthanded shift, and put in a rebound, was a remarkable goal.
Yes.
If you track him the whole shift, it was an amazing goal. And that is very much the way he likes to play and is effective at, and that's what they're facing now as the playoffs draw.
Goal of the year candidate, I think.
It was just unbelievable.
All right, so the Blue Jackets, again, for temporarily at least, are in second place overall. We will all be back here again on Tuesday night for the Sabres. Tuesday, a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great time of year. Blue Jackets trying to lock down the #1 spot. Great games coming up.
The crowd was great tonight. It was fantastic. The place was packed. They actually obviously 1-0 game. There wasn't a lot to cheer, but on their feet throughout the third period, really cheered them on. It was a good buzz in the building tonight.
Yeah. Make sure to read his column, his game story, dispatch.com tomorrow. All right. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday night.